Welcome to SOS Media, your number one source of the latest news, opinions, and in-depth investigations that dig deeper into today's developing stories around the globe. As I have always done, let us remind ourselves that Jennifer Bonjean is an attorney licensed to practice law in the state of New York, the United States District Court for the Eastern District of New York and the United States Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit. Bonjean is the founder of the Bonjean Law Group, predominantly based in New York's Lexington Avenue with a satellite office in Illinois at Jackson Boulevard. Jennifer Bonjean is currently R. Kelly's attorney in both his New York and Chicago cases, which are both now at the appeal levels. When R. Kelly received the Chicago sentence, most of us were not happy but rather a little relieved and pleased with the U.S. District Judge Judge Leinen Weber for siding with R. Kelly's lead lawyer Jennifer Bonjean's pleas to have any sentence given to R. Kelly served simultaneously with his already 30-year New York sentence. The extra 12 months that were not considered in the arrangement were a very unfortunate development but bearable. Had the judge decided to have the sentences served consecutively, then the then 56-year-old R. Kelly would have to spend all his efforts trying to overturn a life sentence. Despite the judge's demonstration of a level of sobriety, the most disturbing factor here remained that R. Kelly had received a whopping 20-year sentence. This, according to the trial process and the witness deliberations, was truly not a fair judgment at all. The realistic prediction by those very knowledgeable about the law and by those in the legal circles, including R. Kelly's legal team, was a maximum sentence of 11 years. But unfortunately, this 20-year decision was almost twice as long from what all the experienced players in the field had ever thought about. Ultimately, the only attribute of fairness remained in the fact that the judge had ruled that the sentence be served simultaneously with the exception of the last 12 months, which he maintained be served consecutively, meaning that the then 56-year-old R. Kelly would have to remain behind bars for 31 years if the status quo remained. R. Kelly's legal team had worked relentlessly in pinpointing the areas where it believed there was gross misinterpretations of the law, injustice and untruthfulness by the witnesses, which marred most of the trial process. Bonjean had also stressed the fact that R. Kelly's silence wasn't a sign of no remorse as the prosecutors had claimed, but rather a safeguard in his efforts to appeal his convictions. Now, on August 3, 2023, Jennifer Bonjean submitted R. Kelly's Illinois appeal brief highlighting the various legal irregularities and misinterpretations that marred the whole court trial process. She has maintained her stand on insisting that R. Kelly's 240 months above guidelines sentence was procedurally and substantively improper. In the brief, Bonjean emphasizes the point that court failed to identify the basis in which the judge upwardly departed 72 months from the then applicable guidelines of 135 to 168 months. It is as if their whole deal was to suggest that it was based on already acquitted conduct, and the unfortunate fact that R. Kelly's crimes would be punished more severely under the current guidelines. It is also obvious that the district court failed to state the conclusive basis for the substantial upward discrepancy and thus violating the law, specifically the ex post facto clause, and thus subjecting R. Kelly to the current United States federal government sentencing guideline rather than the applicable 1997 guidelines. For this reason alone, R. Kelly is entitled to a new sentencing hearing. It's quite very difficult to comprehend the fact that R. Kelly's Illinois sentence was 4 offense levels above the applicable guidelines range. The district court's rationale for this anomaly and such a significant upward variance was unclear and unjustified in any event. Still, in the brief, Jennifer Bonjean asserted that a distinct court should begin all sentencing proceedings by correctly calculating the applicable guidelines range, after which the sentencing judge considers the 7 sentencing factors. We should also remember the fact that judges are supposed to impose a sentence that is sufficient but still not greater than it is necessary. Bonjean insists this was underlooked by Judge Leinen Weber in this particular R. Kelly sentencing. His explanation of the deviation does not articulate nor justify the magnitude of the discrepancy. The sentence of 240 months that was handed R. Kelly exceeds by a whopping 72 months and unfortunately resulted from the failure to use the appropriate 1997 guidelines, which were binding when the alleged crimes were said to have been carried out. Even if the argument that there was consideration of the obstruction charge was considered, it wouldn't work because R. Kelly was already acquitted of all charges in that regard. We all definitely know that the United States Supreme Court has held that it is an ex post facto violation when a defendant is sentenced under guidelines promulgated after he committed his criminal acts, and this new version used to sentence R. Kelly provides a higher applicable guideline sentencing range. Let us note that an ex post facto law is a law that retroactively changes the legal consequences or status of actions that were committed, or relationships that were in existence before the enactment of the law. By the look of things so far, it's becoming more and more clear that Bonjean did her homework very well. We are sure of the fact that an appeal is not an opportunity to revisit everything that happened at trial but rather an opportunity to re-examine specific points of law, and sometimes facts from the lower trial court's decision. The appellate court determines whether errors occurred in applying the law at the lower court level, and it generally will reverse a trial court only for an error of law. However, not every error of law is cause for a reversal. I am not a lawyer but sure that some can be harmless errors that did not prejudice the rights of the parties to a fair trial. For example, in a criminal case a higher court may conclude that the trial judge gave a legally improper instruction to the jury, but if the mistake were minor and in the opinion of the appellate court had no bearing on the jury's finding, the appellate court may hold it a harmless error and let a guilty verdict stand. However, an error of law such as admitting improper evidence as in R. Kelly's case may be determined to be harmful and therefore reversible error. The specific points of the law that can be revisited can include rulings on a motion, admissibility or inadmissibility of evidence, objections sustained or overruled at trial, and sometimes can include the findings of a jury verdict. An appellate lawyer's skill set should definitely be far different than that of trial lawyers, and actually most judges and lawyers alike agree with this argument. An appellate lawyer's approach, audience, and goals are very different from that of a trial lawyer. An appellate lawyer must have superior research, writing, and oratory skills. A trial lawyer's job is to speak to a jury, whereas an appellate lawyer needs to compel a panel of highly skilled appellate judges who have many written briefs to read. It is therefore the role of an appellate lawyer to bring to life what may otherwise be an ordinary set of facts and applicable law to the judges. Though we can by nature never guarantee success, we can always guarantee that Bonjean will put every available resource to attain success in R. Kelly's appeals. Sometimes the best appeals are ones that are never taken because they are expensive, but this is neither Bonjean's school of thought but rather is driven by an urge to achieve justice. We certainly know that R. Kelly and his legal team led by Jennifer Bonjean have already highlighted a lot of flaws, misinterpretations of the law and issues to do with injustice in the appeal brief. With such an articulate and experienced attorney as Bonjean, we are very optimistic that the appeal process will be the moment of nothing else but the truth. The rest of us who support and wish R. Kelly to regain his deserved freedom can follow the appeal process keenly optimistic that by the end of the appeal he will be a free man. We want R. Kelly to walk back to the studio and resume doing what he knows best, give us more great music to enjoy. Thank you for watching today's video brought to you by SOS Media. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss any of our videos. Also remember to leave your comment about today's topic in the comment section below.